What a moment. What a night. What a win.
Oh, look at the Kool-Aid.
Hey, the Kool-Aid is back.
Yes,
what color
sir.
is that? What flavor is that? Is that pineapple?
That looked like a tropical pineapple or pina colada.
Pineapple would be awful.
It's too close to Steelers yellow for
Yeah,
my
I think
taste.
Steelers blood color.
Like I like that Steelers
Yeah.
blood.
Director Steve picked that color because it's supposed to be Steelers yellow.
Okay. We'll take that. We'll take that.
Well,
we'll take
can
that.
we mix in some red for their
Steeler
blood?
tears.
What a night. In the season that has been an absolute forgettable season, you hope for moments. Last night we got a lot of moments, and we got a win, something that we can cling to.
That's right.
I don't know if it was fool's gold. Myles Garrett looked like he ate spinach before the game and was the defensive player of the year, Myles Garrett. I loved his trash talk at the end of the game.
Absolutely. I was stunned that JJ's little brother didn't make the trip. He was inactive for the game. That was fascinating.
I wondered if he was on the field. I know
Yeah.
he was on the field because I saw he couldn't catch Jameis on Jameis's touchdown.
Well, Jameis is a
Couldn't
burner.
bring him down.
He's a burner.
What a win. I mean, what an absolute win. We're going to give opening thoughts. Do you want to do a read first? Or do you want to do our opening thoughts first?
Let's get a read in. Let's just knock
All
them
right.
out, and then we're going to spend 90 minutes uninterrupted on Browns. We're going to try to get through a bunch of topics. Then we got 30 minutes on WKYC
That's
later.
right.
We're going to spend the first chunk on the Browns. We will talk some Cavs and Guardians in the WKYC show, but it's a Victory Friday, guys, and that feels phenomenal. And you can tackle all the rest of the NFL action this weekend with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You can bet on any game you want and sit back and know the Browns have already won. You don't have to sweat that out, which is a luxury. And right now, new customers on FanDuel can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Let's go around the horn, guys.
Is that creepy Mike behind the glass?
Yeah,
The Victory Stash is back.
Oh, you haven't
Yes,
seen
sir.
it yet,
This is my
Jason.
first time seeing it.
Yeah.
How long
Oh.
are you keeping that ridiculous?
Well, his girlfriend, he was supposed to only keep it for one day, but his girlfriend likes it. So now she's the
dear God.
only one that
Gabby
likes it,
likes
but she
it,
likes
and
it.
now the Browns are 1-0 at the stash. So maybe it's a
Oh, my
Browns.
God.
They were
So
2-8.
we're stuck with this?
You might be.
Oh.
At least for
Oh, no.
at least for a few
yeah.
days. But
I
either way,
love
guys,
Gabby, but what is she thinking?
Yeah, I don't know.
the Cavs won and the Browns have won with the stash. So maybe it's lucky.
No,
But
it's not.
We'll find out. Let's go around the horn. Bull, start with you on shotgun reactions to the Browns 24-19 dub over the Steelers.
For all the criticism of Kevin Stefanski this year, and some people said the team quit last week. Obviously, they played with a lot of fight yesterday, and that's after getting off to a pretty bad start. I mean, the offense, the first two drives, couldn't move the ball at all. The defense had the ball marched up and down the field on them, and the Steelers just kind of stalled out at the end. And then the game turned around after that when the Browns had that third possession and had that long drive after the Steelers had finally gotten on the board. They played hard. They played tough physically on both sides of the field. It wasn't a perfect effort. Obviously, Jameis threw that one really bad pick, but I thought the offense played pretty well overall, especially considering the conditions. I thought the defense played very well overall, and and the one thing I'll say about Kevin Stefanski through these 5 years, where it's been a lot of up and down and kind of mediocrity for the overall, he's always done a good job in the division. I think we talk about him beating the Bengals, but it's not just the Bengals. Overall, he's done well in the division. He's been a much better in-division coach than he's been an out-of-division coach, even though this is, well, not as good as we thought it was going to be, still a good division, and yet he's had a lot of success within it. Myles Garrett is the last thing I'll say before I move on to you guys. In the past, there's been some criticism of Myles Garrett when it comes to Steelers-Browns head-to-head. Clearly, he was motivated by matching up in a way with T.J. Watt. He was the much better player of the two, even though he's got much less talent around him. He was fantastic yesterday. He was impactful as T.J. Watt has often been against us. Myles Garrett was the impactful pass rusher yesterday, and T.J. Watt was not. So that was great to see.
Kevin has a winning record within the division.
Yeah,
Which is
right.
stunning.
Yeah.
Because it's been one of the more difficult divisions during his tenure.
It's not. It's like 2 games over 500, but still, I mean, compared
It's
to
a winning record.
Yeah,
It's better than
absolutely.
2
You
games
wouldn't
under.
have guessed that, considering his overall record in the division.
He's 2-1 in the division this year.
Right.
And 1-7 against everyone else.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. The I left last night thinking Jameis Winston is starting to muddle up, I think, the Browns' plans a little bit for how this was going to go.
Oh, we're coming around.
No, listen, the only thing I've ever said is that they have not looked at him as a potential quarterback of the future.
And perhaps now they are.
I don't know that. I'm just saying that he has now played well enough to where you can't get him out of there.
Right.
So it's kind of a difficult spot to be in because what are you trying to play for? If you're trying to win as many games as you can, and I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm not saying one is the right path and one's the wrong path.
There is still a path to the playoffs, by the way.
But there's not.
No, there is. Not. I should point that out. Is it likely to happen?
No. They're not going to
Almost
win out.
Incalculable. But
they'd have to win every game.
Until a nail is driven through the heart, and you look at the standings and you look at what it's going to take to win that last spot. Are they going to do it? Absolutely not.
No.
Is there a mathematical path?
Sure.
100% yes, there is.
But, like, what are you trying to get out of the season? Are you trying to win as many games as possible? You're not going to tank, and you're going to compete to the end, and then you're going to cost yourself a high draft pick. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to go that route, that's fine. But know that the flip side of that is you're not going to be in position to try and get one of these top quarterbacks in the draft, and you're going to have to figure it out from there. The other path is to play the kid and lose games and try and get a higher draft pick. It looks to this point like they're just going to keep competing and try and win as many games as they can. And that's like, hey, listen, tanking comes with a lot of risks as well. Mm-hmm. So, but I think it's important to remember, they demoted him to third-string quarterback. They tried trading him. Mm-hmm. They signed him for $4 million. Nobody else wanted him. Like, $4 million for a starting quarterback in the NFL is minimum wage. Like, who was it? They paid $6 million for who was the
Andy Dalton?
No,
the old Vikings backup.
Yes, the old Vikings backup.
Yeah.
Case
Keenum.
Yeah.
They paid Case Keenum $6 million 4 years ago.
Right.
Nobody in the league wanted Jameis. That's been made abundantly clear. They got him for $4 million. They tried to trade him at the end of the preseason, and there were no takers. So now you're in this position of, are you going to keep running him out there? Can he be your bridge guy for the rest of this year into next year? Can he be the long-term answer? I've got no indication from anybody that he actually has a chance to be the long-term solution. And again, you can look at the yards.
That's a good thing. That means he probably is.
You can look at the yards he's put up. Like, since he's taken over, he's among the league leaders in passing yards per attempt. Like, there's a lot of metrics that we've seen the very best of Jameis, we've seen the very worst of Jameis. So I'm curious now to see where this goes the rest of the way. And, you certainly can't pull the guy at this point. So you're going to ride this out and see where it takes you.
When you ask what they're playing for, what are they playing for in this season, frankly, they're playing for their jobs. I've always said it, I've always stood by the fact that if you want to lose games and you want to get a top draft pick, that's great, but you won't be the guy taking it, and you won't be the guy coaching the quarterback up that you're going to get, because they're going to look at it and say, look, this season and every season is about the pursuit of having a culture where you don't have peaks and valleys. We want to coach, for whatever they say about Mike Tomlin, he don't go under 500. And when it get bad and the quarterback hurt, it don't matter. He does what he does, and he gets a certain amount of wins. So I commend Kevin Stefanski. For having his team ready to play. I commend him for coming out in a game that was sloppy and nasty. It started slow. But if anybody had a question on whether or not that he has a pulse of his Browns team, look at Myles Garrett. Look how fired up he was. Look at the way Jameis Winston at quarterback had everybody ready to go. Offensive line looked really well. Nick Chubb got 2 touchdowns. Jerry Jeudy now looks like he's showing his dividends of that trade and saying that this guy might be a second-round pick. And the biggest takeaway I take out of it is we do got to talk about Jameis Winston. So the Cleveland Browns should learn from their mistakes. Why do we always have to want to get to a place where we got to second-guess things, right? Just a few weeks ago, we second-guessed giving up Flacco, right? Everybody in the world said that. Well, why do we give him up? We've been second-guessed about Baker and the way he's playing right now. Sometimes when people show you who they are, believe them. You got a guy in the building. He's a charismatic leader. Guys follow him. Look how many guys mobbed him when he scored that touchdown. He made throws in that game where Kirk Herbstreit himself said, I don't know how he got that throw over that defender in the blizzard. Mm-hmm. And I look at it, And the way I'm going to judge him is this. I've been sitting here, and we're all fans. How many times you done seen somebody beat the Steelers and the Ravens? Like, it ain't been that many times on my hand I could count them. I can't count on my hand times people throwing for 300-400 yards. He's not only threw for the 400 yards, he's beat the Ravens, he's beat the Steelers, and at least we should have the foresight in saying, guys, if we don't have a lineup for a quarterback in this draft coming up, Sam Darnold and the free agents aren't that great. The guy is sitting right here. The team is backing him. The team is following him. He's getting wins. We should learn and say, let's evaluate it. You don't got to jump off the roof right down and say he's going to be the bridge quarterback, but he sure as hell deserves an opportunity to prove what he's worth. And if don't nobody else in the league want to take him and his $4 million, that's on the league. Some people didn't want to take Patrick Mahomes. We're all sick about that, right? 10 teams didn't take him. Josh Allen.
Those are not fair comparisons.
Oh, it is. It is. What I'm saying.
No, it's not, because Jameis has played in the league 10 years already.
What my premise is, we shouldn't be sitting around thinking about, oh, just because no one else in the league did it, that means that we're wrong. No, sometimes you got to have a confidence in your evaluations, confidence in what you see. And by the way, I'll tell you what, you go in that locker room and ask any one of them 53 guys in there and ask them, don't they believe in Jameis Winston? And they're going to come back and tell you, what you think. You see yesterday?
Jay, your thoughts?
There's plenty of time later in the show to talk about like the global picture and where they are. I'll keep it to last night's game. My reaction to last night's game is this is a game that in the past they lose. We've seen it. We felt it last night when they gave up 2 touchdowns in 2 minutes after not giving up a single touchdown in the previous 51 minutes. We saw, the boulder has left the top of the mountain, and it's going to crush the little house down in the village where the Browns lives. Something happened, and I'm going to equate it to Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston threw a 2-point conversion with his communications device dangling in front of his face. I hope everybody watched the post-game show last night on Amazon. I couldn't take the smile off my face. I was smiling ear to ear the entire time I was watching him. Is he a bit cartoonish? Yeah, he is. But what I loved was Fitz on the set said, guys, this is not an act. This is who he is. He played with him in Tampa. He knows Jameis Winston. I've talked to other guys that played with him both at Florida State and with the Buccaneers. And they all say the same thing. This guy's crazy. This guy is he is high on life. He is always looking for the silver lining. Now, he's still the same guy that lost 35-14, throwing for 395, and looking like he should be a AFC Player of the Week, and somehow they weren't scoring points. What I know from watching last night is, in football, you need leaders. You absolutely have to have leaders. Baker was a leader. Deshaun Watson is not. Kevin Stefanski, guys, I don't think he's a natural-born leader. I think he's a bright coach who can X and O, but he's not Dan Campbell. He's not going to say, there's the hill, guys, let's go get it. I heard something last night from Jameis Winston. I learned a lot watching the postgame show. Those guys were as transparent and open as I've ever seen them. Myles Garrett completely trash-talked T.J. Watt. Said, I'm number one. That title runs through me. And I love the fact that he went to what we always say. No one is schemed up to fail more than Myles Garrett. Yet here he is with 10 sacks for an incredible 7th straight season. Somewhere, Myles Garrett, before the game last night, found a leader switch. And Jameis, in his postgame interview with Amazon, said, you should have heard Myles Garrett before the game. Jason, have we ever heard that about Myles Garrett?
Not in that sense. Not like that. I think what last night showed was that he took personal, go back to the Michael Jordan meme, he took personally the night one of his biggest moments, biggest career accomplishments, winning Defensive Player of the Year, T.J. Watt's whining about it on Twitter.
Still hasn't talked to him since.
And I think you saw last night.
No, they talked last night.
No, he just said just at the pregame at the handshake. That was it. But I read an article last night where somebody with the Browns said, "Yeah, They haven't talked since he won the award.
I think you saw last night how much, because like when TJ was winning Defensive Player of the Year, Miles never said anything.
Nope.
No.
So I think that showed you how much that annoyed Miles.
And so
that
here's
on
my
the
hope.
night of the ceremony, as he's winning the award, TJ's running his mouth on Twitter.
Right, which was a joke. Here's my point to bringing all that up. I don't know what gets Myles Garrett. I guess it's personal slights. But Myles, this is a plea from me and probably many other Browns fans to you. That energy that you used going into last night's game, that energy that forced you to give a pregame speech that Jameis Winston was moved by. Jameis Winston is the pastor on the team. He's the one giving the fire-up speech. He talked about how your speech motivated the team. The Browns have been very quiet when talking about Myles Garrett being a leader. They'll say this, well, not everybody's a leader. True, but your best player has to be at the front of the parade. And if Myles Garrett can take that motivational log that he used for last night's game, coming off a game in which he didn't record a stat, by the way, there's two different Myles Garretts. There's pissed off Myles Garrett, and it's a ho-hum game at New Orleans Myles Garrett. TJ, even though he didn't have it last night, at least brings it every single game. When they take that tight shot of him before we're getting ready to snap the ball, and he's got his lower jaw cocked, and I'm just thinking, oh, geez, he's about to wreck shop. I feel it. I know it. Like, Myles, if you play with that kind of energy, not only are you a Hall of Famer, you're already a Hall of Famer. You're now playing for the legacy of the greatest to ever do it. That is not hyperbole. Look at the numbers. 7 straight seasons of at least 10 sacks. He is in rarefied air. He has solidified himself as a future winner of a gold jacket. Myles, what you now can play for every single time your cleats hit the field is the title of greatest of all time. You are in that discussion, and if you play like you did last night in all of the games moving forward, I don't think there's much of a question, guys. I think he can be the greatest to ever do it.
I think what you saw last night was a guy looking for personal motivation on a 2-8 season. Like, you're
Right.
2-8, there's not a lot to play for other than your own tape. And when you're Myles Garrett, you got to look for ways to motivate yourself. And I think this was clearly an opportunity that he used to motivate himself. And we've talked before about the fall off. You know, so Myles puts up huge numbers September, October, and tails off November, December.
Sure.
I wonder if that might have been his best November, December game.
I'll look into it.
I bet
was
it was,
sending a
'cause
message,
We've
no
looked
doubt.
at the numbers.
Yeah.
They've gotten progressively worse as the season goes on. September, October, November,
Yeah.
December.
And he was talking about us too. He was telling us, "Hey, shut up, comparing me to this guy. It's there. Every time we get a little insecure, every time we hit a little rough patch, we go to is TJ Watt better than Myles Garrett?" He was listening to. He listens. He hears that.
I hope he did.
He
And
heard
it
that.
is a fair question.
He heard that. He was like, "But I'm gonna
Last
show
night,
you.
there was no question.
I'm gonna show you. Like, no general manager in the league is taking TJ Watt over Myles Garrett. Everyone knows that. Every talent evaluator says he's more talented. But you know, we gonna talk. We gonna say what we gonna say. And I think he heard it loud and clear. He was like, "No, just look at what I just did yesterday. Take that."